Welcome back. I'm Alfred Lambremont Webre, and we're very privileged today to be with Melanie Vrichan, who's coming to us from Brussels, who is the Public Relations Director of the European Coalition Against Covert Harassment. Welcome, Melanie.
Thank you, Alfred.
Well, the subject of our program today, and today is December 22nd, 2015, is a very disturbing one. And it has to do with a gentleman, Felipe Silva Moldes, who has been held in prison and psychiatric wards in a most unjust situation for approximately 20 months. Since April 15th, 2014. And essentially, because he was petitioning his legislative representative in Belgium, who is a member of the Belgian Chamber of Representatives of the Green Party, Meyrem Almaci, a woman, Meyrem Almaci, who's Belgian-Turkish citizenship.
Right.
And this is in April of 2014. Felipe Silva, he had lost his job, his girlfriend was pregnant, and he had approached Meyrem Almaci, who is married and the mother of two, to see, as well as the Green Party, to see what sort of assistance she and the Green Party could provide him in finding new employment or finding social benefits in Belgium that would assist him and his girlfriend, and who's now pregnant. And this matter is extremely disturbing to me and to anyone who hears it. And I now have seen films which you, Melanie, have taken interviewing Felipe, who has been held in prison and in psychiatric wards, essentially, I think, without charge or unjustly. He was just moved in the last few days back into prison, I think because of your interviews with him. And we'll be showing those films in the course of this interview. So could you please start with a summary of his case, because we want to bring this to the public. He is a targeted individual, and your organization brings to the public these cases, and has been targeted because of the actions of a Belgian politician, Meyrem Almaci, member of the Green Party, because of the actions of the Green Party and because of their collusion with the Belgian police, with the Belgian police authorities, and with the psychiatric authorities, who without any grounds have kept Felipe Silva Moldes in prison now for 20 months. Could you bring us back to April 2014 and walk us through what occurred?
Sure. So I personally was contacted this summer by Felipe in a call for help. He was at that point held in a psychiatric institution in Meyrem in Belgium. And I tried then, of course, to try to understand a little bit what had happened. And I was provided with several legal documents about his case, and also he told me his story. He told me that last year in spring sometime, he was getting increasingly desperate as he hadn't had a job for I think about 10 years. Every job he started, the last one, he was a tram driver. It was working well, and then somebody told lies about him to his boss, and he lost the job. And in the same time, as you said already, Alfred, he was faced with his girlfriend's pregnancy, and which placed him in an even more desperate situation, or he was getting more anxious, thinking he would not be able to provide for the child. By that time, he then contacted his Facebook friend, Miss Meyrem Almaci, first via Facebook, who's also a member of the Belgian Parliament, and as you said, she's a member of the Green Party. And he contacted her in an attempt to get some assistance from her, some advice. He explained his story to her, the situation he was in. And after some discussion, when he next, connected, he saw that she had, removed him from her contacts.
So that here she Meyrem Almaci is his representative in the Belgian Parliament.
Correct. Yeah.
And not only that, she is his Facebook friend.
Yeah, and they come from the same city, both from Antwerp.
And they come from the same city. So he contacts her on Facebook and says, "This is my problem. Can you help me?"
Yeah.
And they have an interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes back to see what solution she's come up with, and what she's done is to throw him off her Facebook site.
Yeah,
that's her way of dealing with constituents.
Yeah, it seems so. Yeah,
right. And that's the Green Party. That's the Green Party, the Belgian Green Party, Meyrem Almaci, that Turkish Belgian way of dealing with constituents. Let's go on. This story gets better.
Yeah, well, better or worse, the public will tell. But so not being able anymore to contact her via Facebook, he then tried to, go the official way and contact her via her party. He wanted to ask her why she did not respond to his requests and why she had suddenly cut him off her Facebook, out of her Facebook contacts. And he was never able to speak to her directly.
Right, and I'm looking at the Belgian Green Party here, their website. It's a major party, and we'll be contacting them as part of this investigation. But what happens when he contacts the Green Party?
Well, according to him, he spoke a few times to several colleagues who always told him that she could be reached.
She could not be reached. His representative, the person who is supposed to be looking out for her constituents, who now has a problem and is trying to see what sort of welfare or other benefits there are, cannot be reached, right?
Yeah, she could not be reached, and the only thing they suggested, or what they apparently did, is that he could leave a message on her voicemail.
He can leave a message on her voicemail. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, great! Hey,
yeah. So
good job, Green Party. Great job, Green Party. Let's hear some more.
Way of caring for your constituents. I agree. So that's what he did. He left a few messages, and by the time, as he always only dealt with the answer phone, he was getting a little upset and being already in a stressful situation. the fact that every time he called, he just had her answer phone, increased his stress considerably, and also his frustration, because as we just said, he wanted to know, why is it that I come to you, we're from the same city, you're a representative, why is it then when I come to you with a problem, you will not answer? He wanted to know why she cut him off suddenly. And also he was, I believe, really in a situation where he was, he didn't see an outcome, and he really needed to talk to her. He was really hoping the party would assist him with this difficult situation he was in.
Yeah. Now, as I understand it, you have also contacted other members of the Belgian Parliament. For example, you've had contact with certain members of the Belgian Parliament. Have you received similar treatment, or have they been helpful to you?
Well, personally, I have been a candidate for election last year at the European elections for the citizens movement, political citizens movement. So it's not a party, but it's something equivalent for the Goude Belge, which is presided by the former member of parliament, Laurent Louis. And I can tell you that even though we were working with a very small staff, and Laurent had only one assistant, whenever people called him or sent emails, or that it would have maybe took a few days, that you would always get an answer. So he made a point of honor to at least answer to the requests.
Right. So that you've been a candidate for the European Parliament, and you have dealt with members of the European Parliament. Meyrem Almaci is a member of the Belgian Parliament, but it's in the same culture. And at least you can verify that it's generally their politicians get back to their constituents, correct?
That's what they should do, at least,
Right.
Because they're elected to represent the, the people.
Right. So what happened to Felipe Silva Moldes after he left this message?
Well, in April, he left a last increasingly desperate and by the time he tried to reach us so often, also angry message, saying something like, "What for party is this here? You're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're not helping people, and I'm going to go destroy this whole party if it's like this." But he said later that he regretted having said that. But he was in a state of anger and frustration, not being able to get through to her, never. So that happened, I believe it was on the 8th of April, and last year. And on the same day, very quickly after that, he was intercepted at his home by several police officers that arrested him.
So about an hour later, about an hour after the phone call?
Very quickly after that, on the same day.
On the same day, he left. He had been trying for a long time to get hold of this politician who would not,
various messages,
and who left various messages. But within an hour, the Belgian police showed up at his home and arrested him and took him to jail. Is that it?
Yes. I don't know if it's exactly an hour, but basically this is what happened.
Yeah. So that what must have transpired is that the Belgian politician, Meyrem Almaci, had a direct connection to the police and on the basis of her word, they went and arrested a citizen, a constituent, who had been trying to get through to her party, to her, to have her do her job, and threw him essentially in jail, because I've read the papers here, and it is beyond, it was secret proceedings and a star chamber. It was secret proceedings with hardly any charges. And,
Yeah,
and with no evidence. And they've held him for 20 months. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, they've held him for 20 months. Right?
Yeah,
and
correct.
Essentially, this is deprivation of life and liberty, and essentially this is torture. And
I agree.
And taking away a person's liberty and torture, it is violation of every fundamental legal standard in the European Union and in the world.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
going on before the Belgian police, before the Belgian courts, and before the Green Party. And within 1 hour, it happens. And those are the facts, and we'll put all of the papers in here in the article to show that.
Yeah, that's very good. So that people can verify that what we're saying is really true here, because we have the evidence.
So he went through a very quick trial, and we'll show the evidence at the trial. And in fact, we'd like to read the evidence here, because myself, as a war crimes judge, as a having taught law at 2 universities, and as a practicing international lawyer, I mean, it is, here we go. Silva Moldes Felipe, residing in Antwerp, Alsace, suspected of stalking and threats by false message. Okay, so if you call up the political party and ask for help now, it's stalking.
Yeah, that's
and these are on April 1st, March 31st, 2014, the defendant appealed, and the appeal, the serious indications of guilt, and the data specific to the case and the personality of the suspect, which is listed in the warrant of arrest and the contested decision, create conditions in which persist and affect public safety, so that they protect the enforcement of the provisional custody of the of the accused is absolutely necessary. The court, the grand jury, make use of the contested decision, cited legal provisions, and also Articles 16, 18, 21, 22, 23, 30, 32 of the law of July 20, 1990, 11, 12, 13, 24, 31 to 37, 40, 41 of the law of June 15, 1935. So what they did is that they took a perfectly innocent citizen calling up the Green Party and calling up his representative, and because the representative had an in with the police, probably for favors done,
it seems that way,
brought him into a secret proceeding, do what they call in English, threw the book at him with a number of clauses. They don't list the evidence, they call it provisional custody, and say, oh, it's obvious that it's provisional custody, and throw him in prison.
Yeah.
and in a psychiatric ward for 20 months. Now, we were able to interview him last week on December 16th, 2015 in the psychiatric ward. Immediately after that interview, which was interrupted by the psychiatric ward officials who shut it down, and then he was transferred to prison again. What did he say in the interview? We're going to show the films right after this, because this man immediately after this was transferred back into prison. They're trying to bury this guy because the Green Party and this representative who puts herself out as concerned about society, has tried to bury this man because he came to her to assist her with his pregnant girlfriend 20 months ago. 20 months ago. What is it about these people that they become fascists? Is this the hidden perp network? Is this is this what we're dealing with here? Is this like when you and I caught the Belgian chief of police taking a bribe?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems that way. And to come back, because he said that his girlfriend was pregnant at the time, she has had a baby now, and that's also something that we very often see with people that are harassed covertly, or rather overtly here in this case, I would say, is that they also remove the custody of his daughter. So
so now they want to remove the custody of his daughter, which is, the mother has nothing to do with that, right?
Yeah, saying that he was a dangerous individual. So he was, you know, and that was apparently also going on.
Yeah. They're not part of the perp network. Well, we'll see about the Green Party, okay?
Yeah.
We know all about the Green Party. They're like a front for the perp network, the transhumanist perp network. Now, you met with him on December 16th, 2015,
correct,
and you filmed him. What did Felipe say at that point? We'll be seeing.
Yes. As I said, he contacted me first in July, I believe, of this year. There he was already in psychiatry, again, reaching out for help. He had heard about the European Coalition Against Covert Harassment, and he was hoping that I or we as an association could maybe assist him, because he's very clearly targeted and harassed. So I had seen him at the first time together with a friend who's also a psychologist who lives near the town he was held. We saw him first time in July, and had told us his story briefly. And afterwards, my friend and I talked. And already there, we thought that was obviously a abuse of power. We were quite shocked by what he had to say. And just now in December, I kept in loose contact with him because I followed his case. There he said to me that he was really desperate now. He was really even thinking about suicide, because something had occurred that made him think that he would never be returned his freedom and his liberty. And I said, what has happened? And he said, well, on over the weekends, I was allowed to go out for an hour or two just to my shopping. And being as frustrated because I was never given a date when I would be able to leave the psychiatric ward, I drank a glass of wine. And when he came back, the psychiatric ward apparently ordered an alcohol test, which was positive. And they had told him that they would put a commission together in March to decide whether they would retransfer him to prison. And by the time he contacted me this December, he said, I'm now so desperate, if they're going to put me in prison again, I never want to return there again. The first experience was so horrible that I'm really contemplating suicide.
Yeah, so now it appears that the order has gone out. The
Yes.
order has gone out within
That has
the
always
perp
gone
network,
up since we
the
saw
perp
him, yeah.
network, within which Meyrem Almaci is at least an accessory. And
At
the
least.
police that responded are at least accessories. And the Green Party of Belgium are at least accessories. The order has gone out to maneuver the suicide of Felipe Silva Moldes by
Yes, that is,
putting together a commission to decide whether he should be sent back to prison. There is no evidence to convict him of anything. He was never convicted of anything.
yes, indeed. So that when I heard that, I was really shocked and really angry. And I said to my friend, the psychologist who lives close to him, I said, well, I would suggest we go back there again and we give him the opportunity to tell his story, you know, and if possible, we are going to record this interview because this is such an abuse of his fundamental human rights and civil rights that I think the story should be told. It should get out. So my friend, the psychologist, immediately agreed. She said, I mean, this is getting worse and worse here. Let's go. And so, as you just explained, on 16th of December, we went back again to visit him in psychiatry. Yeah. So when we met with him, I told him, Felipe, please tell us everything, you know, very slowly from the beginning. At that point, I knew bits and pieces of his story, but I wanted to get the whole picture, wanted to know exactly what is going on. And I offered him, and he was very happy about that, that he could tell us his story. We would film with our mobile phones so that we would also record that, his statements on film. And he was very pleased about that, so we went there. And this is what he told me. What we just explained our viewers. He basically explained me this story. So, and I'm kind of speaking for him now, because he cannot express himself. He told me that this happened, but he told me that this commission they were going to put together, because he drank a glass of wine, was only going to happen in March, and he was really hoping that they would not take the decision to put in prison again, because he wasn't going to bear that. It was so horrible the first time that he was really hoping that this last suffering would be spared. He would be spared.
And probably that network to which Meyrem Almaci, the Green Party of Belgium, and the police network are at least accessories, want to take away the baby, the baby of his girlfriend, in order to offer up the baby to the pedophile networks in Belgium, which we know that reach up to the royal family and to the highest banking, financial, and political offices in Belgium. And we know that because the evidence has been read out on the floor of the Parliament of Belgium.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I must say already the reasons, the grounds on which he was convicted and locked up first in prison and then in psychiatry looked very little convincing to me, to say the least. But then I didn't understand why, on top of it, he wanted the custody of his child. You know, that makes
there is no ground. There are no grounds.
I agree.
There is no complainant. There are no grounds. It seems to me that three things have to happen here. That there should be a movement in Belgium to secure three things. Number one, the immediate release of Felipe Silva Moldes. Number two, that financial compensation for pain and suffering and lost time should pay to Felipe Silva Moldes, his former girlfriend or his girlfriend, and to their child by the state for this gross injustice. And number three, the immediate resignation from the Belgian Parliament of Meyrem Almaci for gross official misconduct and abuse of power.
Abuse of power. It's abuse of power. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
yeah. And that those three things have to happen, and that I would recommend that UCAT start a public campaign with those three goals and initiate those goals and have a public campaign, that a public letter be written to the media with copies to the Green Party, with copies to the prison system, the psychiatric system, with copies to Meyrem Almaci, to all of the newspapers. We're going to be sending this news article to all of those parties. And it seems to me that those three goals, the immediate release of Felipe Silva Moldes, financial compensation for his pain and suffering, and that of his girlfriend and his child, and number one, the immediate resignation from the Belgian Parliament of Meyrem Almaci for her abuse of power, and that should go forward. And I think that is part of the duties which your association should be carrying out in this case, given the evidence.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I got interested in his case. From the beginning. I think maybe, Alfred, what we didn't, maybe we didn't say it clearly enough, is that since, that I want our viewers to understand that since my friend and I went to see him in the psychiatric ward and interviewed him, and we will show the interview, and you will see that we got interrupted, that a psychiatric nurse comes in and tells us this is an interview. He's not permitted to interviews, and we were asked to leave in no uncertain terms. What I think is important is that the viewers understand that since this happened, he has been transferred. I've got the information from his foster mother. He's been transferred to the prison of Ghent. So, which is again another prison. So it's important that to stress that most probably his new transfer, illegal transfer to prison, was motivated by the interview we did with him.
Hello, good evening. My name is Melanie Fritschon, and I'm from the International Center Against Abuse of Covert Technologies, and also from the European Coalition Against Covert Harassment. The covert harassment aspect is what is interesting us today, because I'm here today in Meyrem, in a psychiatric hospital. It's in Belgium, near to the French town Lille. And I'm here because I would like to introduce to our community a new member, Felipe Silva Moldes, who is held for about 6 months already against his will in a psychiatric hospital. And he will tell his story, and the public will judge what, if you think that an incarceration that's lasting for about 2 years now is justified. So, hello Felipe. Hello. Thank you for having accepted this interview and having the courage to come forward. I know it's not easy. I would like you to tell our viewers a little bit what has happened to you and why it is that we're finding ourselves today here in Meyrem in the psychiatric hospital where you had against your will?
Yeah, it started 15 years ago. I was soliciting 10 years long for a job and I couldn't find one. But at the end I found a job as a tram rider, but somebody in my shop lied about me, so I lost my job. The same year my ex-girlfriend had a baby, and but I was already 10 years without a job. I had no money to raise it up, so I was very frustrated. And I was on Facebook almost every day, and there was a woman, Meyrem Almaci from the Green Party, where I could tell my story many times, but after 10 times she cut me off the wall.
Een interview, ja.
Ja, dat is wel camera, hè?
Ja, want dat kan niet gefilmd worden in het ziekenhuis.
Ja,
Ik ben in privé, weet dat, hè?
Oké, maar en vérité.